First Contact and Ancient Legacy. The light came first, a brilliant flash that illuminated Earth's night sky like a second sun. Global tracking systems registered the anomaly at 3:14 a.m. Universal Time, high above the Pacific. Satellites automatically swiveled their cameras toward the disturbance, capturing the impossible. A massive object materializing in Earth's orbit, seemingly from nowhere. Dr. Elena Vasquez was half asleep when her phone erupted with urgent alerts. As director of xenoarchaeology at the Global Institute for Advanced Studies, she wasn't typically on any emergency notification list. Her specialty, theorizing about possible extraterrestrial influences on ancient human cultures, had earned her respect in academic circles, but little practical application. Until now. "This is Vasquez," she mumbled, fumbling to accept the video call. "Doctor, this is General Williams with United Earth Defense. I need you in Washington immediately. A transport is already en route to your location." Elena blinked sleep from her eyes. "General, I don't understand." "We have confirmed first contact, Doctor, and they're asking for you specifically." 40 minutes later, Elena was aboard a hypersonic military transport speeding toward Washington. She stared at the tablet in her hands, watching footage of the alien vessel that had appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. The ship was massive, nearly 2 kilometers long, with a design that defied conventional engineering principles. It resembled flowing water frozen in time, all smooth curves and iridescent surfaces that seemed to shift colors as it moved. The vessel made no aggressive actions, the intelligence officer seated across from her explained. After establishing orbit, they transmitted a message on all frequencies, in every major Earth language. "What did they say?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The officer handed her another tablet. "See for yourself." The image showed a humanoid figure with silver-blue skin and large, deep-set eyes. Despite its alien features, there was something hauntingly familiar about its face structure and the way it moved its four-fingered hands as it spoke. "People of Earth," the alien said, its voice melodic and strangely soothing. "I am Commander Thela of the Luminary Vessel Reclamation. We come in peace, seeking to recover what was lost. We request to speak with Dr. Elena Vasquez, whose research has come closest to understanding our shared history." Elena felt the blood drain from her face. Her research, the papers that had been ridiculed by mainstream archaeology for years, had theorized that certain anomalies in human development during the Upper Paleolithic period might indicate external influence. "How do they know me?" she whispered. "That's what we'd like to understand, Doctor," the officer replied grimly. 3 hours later, Elena stood in the White House Situation Room with 24 military officers, scientists, and government officials. On the main screen, Commander Thela waited patiently for their response to her request for a meeting. "We can't possibly allow them to land," General Williams argued. "We know nothing about their intentions or capabilities." "They could have attacked without warning if that was their plan," countered the Secretary of State. "They chose communication instead." President Reyes turned to Elena. "Dr. Vasquez, they specifically requested you. What's your assessment?" Elena took a deep breath. "My research suggests that an advanced species may have visited Earth approximately 30,000 years ago, during the last ice age. If these beings are connected to those visitors, they may indeed be returning to recover something left behind." "Left behind for 30,000 years," General Williams scoffed. "That's absurd. For a civilization capable of interstellar travel, time might be perceived differently," Elena replied. "We should at least hear what they have to say." President Reyes nodded slowly. "Arrange the meeting. Neutral territory. Maximum security." 24 hours later, Elena stood beside the president in a hastily converted hangar at Andrews Air Force Base. A delegation of 5 aliens had arrived in a smaller shuttlecraft, escorted by fighter jets that looked primitive beside the sleek alien vessel. Commander Thela was taller in person, standing nearly 7 feet high with a slender build that moved with curious grace in Earth's gravity. Her skin had a silvery blue sheen that seemed to catch and reflect light in mesmerizing patterns. "Dr. Vasquez," Thela said, inclining her head slightly. "Your work has guided us here." "How do you know my work?" Elena asked, struggling to maintain her professional composure in the face of actual extraterrestrial contact. "We have been monitoring your communications for several of your years, since our long-range probes detected signs of advanced civilization here. Your theories about ancient contact were remarkably accurate." President Reyes stepped forward. "Commander Thela, you said you've come to recover something. What exactly are you looking for?" Thela raised one of her four-fingered hands, and a holographic projection appeared between them. It showed a smaller vessel, similar in design to their shuttle but more weathered, and what appeared to be containers of equipment. "Approximately 30,000 of your years ago, a research expedition from our world visited Earth. They were studying the development of early hominids when their vessel was damaged in a solar flare. They made an emergency landing and established contact with primitive humans while awaiting rescue. If your people visited Earth that long ago, why has it taken until now to return?" The Secretary of Defense asked suspiciously. "Our civilization experienced a catastrophic event shortly after the expedition departed," another alien explained, introducing himself as Science Officer Kellner. "What you would call a nearby supernova. Much of our infrastructure was destroyed. We have spent millennia rebuilding and searching for our lost expeditions." Elena's mind raced with implications. The archaeological record shows unusual advances in human tool-making and cognitive development around that time period. Cave paintings became more sophisticated, burial rituals more complex. Thela nodded. "The research team would have interacted with your ancestors, perhaps sharing knowledge while they waited for rescue, a rescue that never came. And now you want to recover their vessel and equipment," President Reyes stated. "Where exactly is it?" "Our scans indicate the primary research base was established in what you now call the Altai Mountains, between modern Russia, China, Mongolia, and Kazakhstan. The ship itself appears to be buried beneath sediment in a cave system. That region is known for significant archaeological discoveries," Elena noted, "including some of the earliest evidence of Denisovans, a human species that coexisted with Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens." "We request permission to excavate the site," Thela said. "We are willing to share certain technologies in exchange for cooperation." 2 weeks later, Elena found herself ascending into the Altai Mountains alongside an international team of scientists and a delegation of aliens. Political negotiations had been tense but ultimately productive. All parties recognized the historical significance of the discovery. The cave system Thela's team had identified was already known to archaeologists, though its deeper chambers remained unexplored due to dangerous conditions. With alien technology assisting, they were able to safely navigate deeper into the mountain than humans had ever ventured. "There are anomalies in the cave paintings we've discovered throughout these mountains," Elena explained as they moved through a narrow passage. "Figures with elongated heads and four-fingered hands. Most archaeologists dismissed them as stylistic choices or religious symbolism." Kellner, walking beside her, nodded. "Our ancestors would have appeared strange to primitive humans. It's natural they would depict us in their art." "Us?" Elena caught the word choice. Kellner paused, a manner of speaking. "The expedition team would have been my distant ancestors." They emerged into a vast chamber that showed signs of ancient habitation, fire pits, primitive tools, and walls covered with elaborate paintings. But what drew Elena's attention was a section of wall that seemed different from the rest. Instead of natural rock, it appeared to be a metallic substance that had been partially obscured by thousands of years of mineral deposits. Thela approached the wall and placed her hand on its surface. Lines of light spread outward from her touch, and the wall began to part, revealing a hidden chamber beyond. "How did you do that?" Elena whispered in awe. "Genetic recognition," Thela replied. "The door was programmed to respond to our biological signature. As the team entered the hidden chamber, lights activated automatically, revealing what was clearly an artificial structure within the mountain, a base that had remained powered and preserved for 30,000 years. Impossible, breathed Dr. Yamaguchi, a geologist on their team. No power source could last this long. Our technology harnesses energy differently than yours, Kellner explained. The base draws power from natural geothermal sources and cosmic radiation. The central chamber contained what appeared to be laboratory equipment, sleeping quarters, and most significantly, a wealth of data storage devices. Thela and her team immediately began accessing the ancient computers. Elena wandered through the facility, marveling at its preservation. In one area, she found what appeared to be medical equipment surrounding examination tables sized for humans. What were they studying here? She asked, an uneasy feeling growing in her stomach. Thela was reviewing data at a central console, her expression growing increasingly troubled. According to these records, the expedition was not just observing your ancestors. They were, she hesitated. They were what? Elena pressed. Interfacing with them. Kellner finished. Genetically. Elena's blood ran cold. You mean they were experimenting on humans? Not experimenting. Thela corrected quickly. The records indicate a cooperative arrangement. The humans provided shelter and local knowledge. Our ancestors offered medical care and technological assistance, and genetic modification. Elena asked pointedly. Thela and Kellner exchanged glances. It appears our ancestors faced a difficult choice, Thela finally said. Their distress beacon was destroyed in a landslide. With no way to contact our homeworld and limited resources, they needed to adapt to Earth's conditions. The easiest way to do this, Kellner continued, was to incorporate certain human genetic traits that were well adapted to this planet. In return, they seem to have offered genetic enhancements to their human allies. Increased intelligence, disease resistance, longer lifespans. Elena stared at the ancient medical equipment, understanding dawning. So they merged with humans. They became part of us. The records are incomplete, Thela said carefully. But there is evidence of genetic exchange, yes, and indications that similar bases were established in other regions, everywhere early humans migrated. As if confirming her words, a holographic map activated in the center of the room, showing dozens of points of light scattered across the ancient Earth, each representing another alien outpost. The implications were staggering. If the aliens had integrated their DNA with early humans 30,000 years ago, then humanity as it existed today might be partially descended from these visitors. The sudden leap forward in human cognitive abilities, tool use, and artistic expression during that time period had always puzzled archaeologists. Now they had a potential explanation. There's something else, Kellner said, studying another console. These outposts weren't just living quarters. They were monitoring stations for technological installations buried deep beneath the surface. And according to these readings, they're still active. Elena felt the hairs on her arms rise. Active? Doing what? Before Thela could answer, an alarm sounded throughout the facility. Displays flickered to life on every surface, showing real-time data in the aliens' flowing script. What's happening? Elena demanded. Thela's large eyes widened in what looked like alarm. The system is registering multiple activation signals from all outposts globally. Something is waking up after 30,000 years of dormancy. Is it dangerous? Elena asked. We don't know, Thela admitted. The technology was never meant to remain operational for this long. But now that it's activating, she turned to Elena with an intensity that made the human researcher step back. Now we must find what else our ancestors left behind before it finds us. As if in response to her words, a deep rumbling began beneath their feet, and ancient machinery, buried for millennia, began to awaken. Evolution and revelation. The ground beneath the ancient alien facility continued to shake as systems dormant for millennia surged to life. Elena steadied herself against a wall, watching in equal parts wonder and terror as holographic displays activated throughout the chamber. showing real-time data from around the world. Containment protocols engaging, announced an automated voice in the alien language, followed by translations in several ancient human dialects, but notably not in any modern language. What's happening? Elena demanded as Thela and Kellner worked frantically at different consoles. The network is activating. Thela explained, her slender fingers moving across surfaces that responded to her touch. According to these readings, there are 47 installations across your planet, all connected to this central hub. What kind of installations? Asked Dr. Yamaguchi, the geologist. Environmental stabilization systems. Kellner answered without looking up from his console. Designed to make subtle adjustments to Earth's atmosphere, climate, and geological activity. General Williams, who had insisted on accompanying the scientific team, stepped forward. Are you saying your ancestors were terraforming our planet? Not terraforming, Thela corrected. Stabilizing. The data suggests they were attempting to mitigate natural climate fluctuations to create conditions more hospitable for both our species. Before anyone could respond, Kellner made a sound of surprise. Commander, I'm detecting biological signals interfacing with the outlying installations. Impossible, Thela responded. No one from our expedition should have survived this long. The signals are not registering as pure luminary, Kellner said, using what Elena assumed was the name of their species. They're hybrid, human luminary genetic signatures. Elena felt her pulse quicken. The genetic modifications. If your ancestors integrated their DNA with early humans, then those traits could have been passed down through generations, Thela finished. But they should have been diluted beyond recognition by now. Unless they were designed not to be, Kellner suggested quietly. The logs indicate extensive genetic engineering expertise among the expedition members. Reports began flooding in from around the world as the international team broadcast emergency alerts. In the Sahara Desert, a massive structure had emerged from beneath the sand. In the Amazon rainforest, ancient technology was interfacing with the plant life, accelerating growth and restoration of deforested areas. Beneath the Antarctic ice, something was generating heat, melting frozen water into carefully directed streams. And most disturbingly, certain humans near these sites were showing unusual symptoms: enhanced cognitive abilities, improved physical performance, and in some cases, the ability to interact with the alien technology. "This is Admiral Zhao," came a voice over the emergency channel. "We're tracking unusual phenomena at coordinates matching the alien map. Local populations are reporting strange abilities, particularly among individuals with certain genetic markers. We need answers now." Director of Global Security Ivanovich's voice followed. "Dr. Vasquez, the UN Security Council is demanding an explanation. Is this an invasion?" Elena looked to Thela, whose expression remained unreadable. "Not an invasion," Elena responded carefully, "but possibly a homecoming." Back at the luminary vessel in orbit, Commander Thela convened an emergency meeting with Earth's representatives. The massive ship's conference chamber was designed to accommodate both species, with adaptive seating that adjusted to human physiology. The installations were never meant to activate simultaneously, Thela explained, projecting holographic data for all to see. They were designed as a failsafe, to be triggered only if Earth experienced catastrophic environmental collapse. Then why are they activating now? President Reyes demanded. "We believe our arrival triggered a recognition protocol," Kellner replied. "The systems detected luminary genetic signatures in orbit and initiated an awakening sequence." "And what about the humans who are showing these abilities?" asked Director Ivanovich. Elena stepped forward. "According to the data we've retrieved from the Altai base, the luminary expedition members faced a dilemma. Their communications equipment was destroyed, stranding them on Earth. They needed to adapt to survive. The expedition leader, Director Naren, made a controversial decision," Thela continued. "Rather than attempting to preserve pure luminary genetics while waiting for rescue, they would integrate with the local population, sharing beneficial traits in both directions. They merged with us, Alina stated simply. But they didn't just share physical adaptations. They encoded their knowledge, their science, their history, their understanding of the universe, into dormant sections of DNA, information that could be unlocked when humanity was ready. The chamber fell silent as the implications sunk in. How many humans carry these alien genes? General Williams finally asked. Based on preliminary analysis of global genetic databases, Kellner responded, approximately 8% of Earth's current population shows significant luminary genetic markers. However, only about 1 in 10,000 carries the complete sequence that allows for full interaction with our technology, which means roughly 70,000 people worldwide are effectively part luminary, Alina added. President Reyes leaned forward. And what happens to these people now? Will they transform into something else? No, Thela assured her. The changes are subtle: enhanced cognitive processing, improved cellular regeneration, possibly extended lifespans. The most significant change is neurological, the ability to interface directly with luminary technology. Like what we're seeing at the installation sites, Ivanovich noted. Exactly, Kellner confirmed. Those individuals are unconsciously activating systems designed to respond to luminary neural patterns. As the political and scientific discussions continued in orbit, Alina returned to the Altai facility with a specialized team. Among them was Dr. Marcos Diaz, a geneticist who had shown remarkable ability to interface with the alien technology, a fact that had initially terrified him. I always knew I was different, he confided to Alina as they worked to decipher more of the ancient data. I could sense things others couldn't, see patterns that weren't obvious. My colleagues called it intuition, but it was more. You're carrying the legacy of visitors from another world, Alina said. How does that feel? Marcos smiled wryly, like suddenly finding the missing piece of a puzzle I didn't know I was solving. He paused, his expression growing serious. But not everyone is taking the news well. There are reports of violence against people showing these abilities, religious extremists calling them corrupted, governments considering registration programs. Alina sighed. Fear of the unknown. It's what held humanity back for so long. And what broke through that fear? Marcos asked. Curiosity, Alina replied. The same drive that led early humans to welcome strangers from the stars instead of fearing them. Their work was interrupted by an alert from one of the consoles. A previously encrypted data archive had been unlocked, triggered by the activation of all global installations. The holographic display showed an image of a luminary much older than Thela or Kellner, wearing what appeared to be ceremonial attire. Greetings to those who find this message. The figure began in the ancient luminary language, which the facility automatically translated. I am Director Naren of the 7th Expedition. If you are viewing this, then our greatest hope has been realized. Our descendants have returned to Earth. Alina and Marcos exchanged glances as the message continued. Our mission began as scientific exploration, but fate transformed it into something more profound. Stranded on this beautiful world with no means of contacting home, we faced extinction. Instead, we chose integration, merging our biology and knowledge with the promising species we found here. The hologram shifted to show images of luminaries working alongside primitive humans, teaching them to create tools, cure illnesses, build structures. We established a network of environmental stabilization systems to protect this world from the natural climate fluctuations we detected in its future. We encoded our genetic legacy and technological understanding into those humans who welcomed us, creating a bridge between our civilizations that could span millennia. Director Naren's expression became solemn. This was not mere survival strategy. It was hope. Hope that one day our homeworld would recover from the catastrophe we witnessed in our long-range observations. Hope that our people would return to find not a lost expedition, but a new branch of our family tree. The hologram showed a final image, a luminary and human standing side by side, hands clasped, looking toward the stars. To our luminary descendants, these humans are your distant cousins. To our human descendants, the stars are your heritage too. Together, you carry the future of both civilizations. The message ended, leaving Elena and Marcos in stunned silence. The revelation wasn't just that aliens had visited Earth. It was that humanity itself was partially descended from those visitors. Word of the message spread quickly. The knowledge that some humans carried alien DNA triggered predictable reactions: fear and hatred from some quarters, wonder and excitement from others. Religious institutions struggled to incorporate the revelation into their worldviews, while scientific communities raced to understand the implications. 1 month after first contact, Elena stood beside Thela on a platform in New Geneva, addressing the newly formed Earth Luminary Council. Representatives from both species had gathered to determine the path forward. The installations have been stabilized, Elena reported, thanks to the cooperation between luminary engineers and human specialists, particularly those with active luminary genetic markers. We've established control protocols to prevent system malfunctions. And the environmental impacts? Asked Council Chair Okonkwo. Largely beneficial, Thela responded. The systems were designed to counter the effects of what you call climate change. They're actually accelerating Earth's natural healing processes. What about the genetic situation? Director Ivanovich asked. These humans with alien DNA, what is their status? Elena straightened her shoulders. They are exactly what Director Naren intended, a bridge between our civilizations. They're still human, but with additional capabilities that make them uniquely qualified to help integrate luminary technology with Earth's infrastructure. The question remains, President Reyes said, what do the luminaries want now? You came to recover your lost technology. Will you be leaving? Thela looked out over the assembled representatives, her silver-blue features solemn. Our original mission was recovery, yes. But we've discovered something far more valuable than ancient technology, a branch of our family we never knew existed. She gestured to the humans and luminaries working together in the chamber. Director Naren's expedition didn't just survive their stranding. They ensured that we would one day be reunited as more than separate species. As relatives, we propose an alliance, Kelnar added, not just diplomatic or technological, but familial. Your people and ours share a bond that transcends traditional first contact protocols. The debate that followed was lengthy and complex. Some Earth representatives feared hidden agendas or cultural contamination. Others saw unprecedented opportunities for advancement. The luminaries themselves seemed divided between those eager to embrace their human cousins and traditionalists concerned about diluting their cultural identity. As the discussions continued, Elena found herself standing alone on an observation deck, looking out at Earth shining below. Thela joined her, the luminary's graceful movements barely making the sound. Your world is beautiful, Thela said quietly. I understand why the expedition chose to stay. What will happen now? Elena asked. Will your people accept us as relatives? Thela was silent for a moment before responding. Change is never easy, for any civilization. But the evidence is undeniable. We share blood and history. The question is not whether we're family, but what kind of family we'll choose to be. Elena nodded. Humanity has always defined itself by its differences. Nations, ethnicities, religions. Now we're being asked to embrace something much bigger. Perhaps that was Director Naren's greatest gift, Thela suggested. Not just genes or technology, but a reason to move beyond old divisions. Below them, the ancient installations continued their work, guided now by human luminary teams. The technology that had remained dormant for 30,000 years was being repurposed, not to prepare Earth for alien colonization, but to heal the damage humans had inflicted on their own world. And across the globe, the humans carrying luminary genetics were discovering new abilities, not just to interface with alien technology, but to connect with each other in ways that transcended traditional communication. They were becoming, as Naren had hoped, a bridge between worlds. 6 months after the luminary vessel had appeared in Earth's orbit, the first joint human luminary expedition prepared to depart for the stars. Their mission: to explore the ancient trade routes that the original luminary civilization had established before the catastrophe that had crippled their homeworld. Elena watched from the launch platform as Dr. Marcos Diaz boarded the vessel alongside Kelnar and a dozen other crew members, half human, half luminary. As chief synorchaeologist for the mission, Marcos would help uncover the shared history that connected both species. "Are you sure you won't join us?" Marcos asked Elena as they said their goodbyes. "Your research started all of this." Elena smiled. "My work is here for now. There are still 46 other outposts to study, and thousands of years of hidden history to uncover." "The beginning of a new chapter," Phyllis said, joining them at the launch pad. "For both our peoples." As the ship rose gracefully from Earth's surface, Elena thought about the message Director Naren had left millennia ago. The luminaries hadn't come to reclaim what was theirs. They had come home to a family they never knew they had. And humanity had discovered that its destiny was written not just in their own history, but in the stars from which part of their ancestry had come. The ancient installations continued their work, healing the planet. The humans with luminary genetics continued to develop their abilities, guided now by knowledge rather than instinct. And two civilizations, separated by time and space but united by blood, began the long process of becoming one extended family. Earth was not the same planet the luminaries had left behind 30,000 years ago. It had evolved, as had its people, but perhaps that had been the plan all along, not for one species to dominate, but for both to grow together towards something greater than either could have become alone. As the joint expedition ship disappeared into the depths of space, Elena knew that the most important discovery had not been the ancient technology or even the shared genetics. It was the simple truth that Director Naren had encoded into the very DNA of humanity. We are stronger together than apart, and the universe awaits us all.